So these young women are either homeless or they're very high risk of becoming homeless,
Okay.
13 to 24, and they are pregnant and or parenting a child.
Mm-hmm.
And they have experienced some of life's traumas
Mm-hmm.
that most of us cannot even imagine.
Mm-hmm. What are some of those? And we're not disclosing any individuals,
Right.
and we're certainly
Exactly.
being confidential and sensitive, but just sort of generally speaking, what are some of those traumas, and then how these young women actually come to you?
80% of our participants report having experienced physical or sexual abuse. I would tend to believe that that's a low number. There have been times that number has been reported as high as 98%. And of course, not everyone will share that confidential information in the beginning. It comes later. So just that physical and sexual abuse, we have moms who are parenting children that are the result of rapes. We have moms who have been put out by a family member. We have moms who live in communities that are constantly in violence. It is not an unusual dinner table conversation about who was murdered yesterday. They tell me stories about pushing their strollers down the street in daylight and having a bullet fly in front of their baby. They're trying to feed their children. 60% of them 80% of them have dropped out of school, so they don't have high school educations. 40% of them read at a 4th grade level.
Wow.
They have so many obstacles against them, yet they are strong and they are optimistic and they are so resilient. They are amazing.
Wow. Where do you think that comes from?
You know, I say that this is one of the things I enjoy most about working with youth, because people frankly think you're crazy if you want to work with teenagers.
Young people.
I
Yes,
love young people.
yes.
But I call it the optimism of youth. There is that part that was in all of us when we were young that was very idealistic, and we would get on our
Hopeful.
soapboxes and we believed anything was possible and we could change the world. Well, they have that because they are young, and they haven't, while they've experienced so much, they have not experienced all of the disappointments that will come in their life that will cause them to be more cautious. They also want a better life for their children than they've had themselves. That is their motivator. And when we say to them, what does that look like? They have no idea. They just know that they don't want their children to grow up the way they did.
Yes, yeah. Well, they don't have that ability really to sort of project forward. They're more kind of living in the moment and experiencing the moment and thinking about how they're going to get that formula tomorrow, or that diaper, or you know, the money to pay that bill kind of thing. And so so that, I guess that gives new moms something to work with, this optimism that you're saying that these youth have. You said that you've been kind of on and off with this organization since 1997. Have you seen, or how have you seen things sort of change, right? Like you're talking about bullets and murder, and you know, have the stories changed, or what does it look like?
The violence has intensified, and if you listen to the news any night, you hear that our youth are killing our youth. Kids are dying in the street almost every day. So the violence has intensified over the years. The other thing that we have seen is that when I first started, there was poverty, there was abuse, but there was some form of stability that a young woman had in her background. So it could be that there was an aunt or a grandmother or some place that she could use as a port in the storm. And usually they would become homeless due to an event. So someone would become sick, someone would die, someone would lose a job. Their family would put them out because they became pregnant. But what we're seeing now is sometimes as many as half of our participants have either grown up completely or at least at some point in their life, lived in Chicago's homeless system. So we are serving second and third generation homeless.
Yeah, I was going to ask you to kind of unpack this a little bit further, right? Because I know you're dealing with that individual that's in front of you and serving that individual, and it's not about where they came from or why they're there, but it's like, what can I do for you now? But as you, and you've unpacked it a little bit, but as you unpack further, what's really going on? Why are we seeing this to intensify? Why are we seeing more of our young ladies in this position? What's going on in your opinion, right?
And it is strictly my opinion, but my opinion is that, the obvious things that you hear about, more people living at the poverty level, reports of the majority of households living in poverty in this country are headed by single mothers. The fact that they're not educated, and even if they have gone further in school, they're not really educated. But I also have the opinion that the breakdown of the family as God designed it is the biggest culprit in this. And it's really easy when you work with these young women and you see the pain and the hurts that they've experienced to blame other people, to blame the families that weren't there for them, to blame the substance, to blame the boyfriend. But as I have at times been frustrated with some of the fathers of the children, God has just really reminded me that these young men are trying to be better dads than their dads were to them. And so when a mom says, he gives me $20 when he can, and he brings diapers once a month, and she thinks that he's being an involved father, and I start to feel that boil up in me, I have to remember that nobody taught this young man how to be a father, and no one taught this young woman how to be a mother. And as I've really wrestled with that, God has really shown me that the family unit that he designed in the urban communities is almost extinct. There's not even examples of grandfathers and grandmothers still. So it's
that's a very powerful statement. Because I was going to ask you about fathers, and so thoughts about that.
We encourage the father to be involved, and we encourage the mom to allow that, provided there's not a safety issue.
Right.
And we really talk about the fact that the child needs the influence of both parents. One of the things that's challenging for us is that we do not have programming or funding to design programming that would help us further engage the fathers. We have piloted this in the past. It was very eye-opening to see how easy it would be to engage these young men. We did it with partnering with other organizations that served them in other ways. And we used very grassroots things like barbecues and pickup basketball games. And in one summer, with absolutely no money, we reached 125 young fathers. One of them was 25 years old and had 9 children.
Whoa. Wow.
But one of the things that we learned through that is, as with almost everything in life, women and men are motivated by different things.
Sure they are, yes.
So the young women come to us first because they want to be good moms. And then we work with them to help them get their education and to become employed. But what will bring the dads is they want a job. And then once they're employed, and I think that speaks to their self-respect and their ability to provide for their family. So we know that the way to engage the young men is through creating employment opportunities. We really have a vision of trying to start, we have a social enterprise business now that employs moms, and we would like to in the future start a second social enterprise that would not necessarily employ the dads of our children, although they might be, but really starting to employ young fathers, and then through that being able to teach them the same things about budgeting, helping them complete their education, and parenting.
Yes. Oh my goodness, that would be fabulous. So would you become like new moms and dads, or?
Well, you know,
I don't want to prophesy here.
exactly. All of these naming things become very very challenging because we are known as new moms.
Yeah.
But when we piloted the program, it was a program under the umbrella of New Moms, and it was called DADS, the acronym standing for Dads Also Deserve Support.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Very, very interesting. And I'm trying to. I'd like to also understand like what you think makes New Moms different from other agencies that are out there, because I know that there are tons of resources. Chicago has a lot of CBOs out there that provide resources. What would you say makes you different?
Well, first of all, this is not a population that is very widely served. Teen parents, there are a number of organizations that serve teen parents. There are only 2 organizations in the city that serve exclusively pregnant and parenting homeless or very near homeless adolescents. And so New Moms houses, in our cooperative living program, we house 23 families. So that is 53 individuals. That represents 78% of the beds in the city of Chicago for this population. And we turn away as many as 800 a year that call us for housing.
Wow.
It's a very underserved population across the country.
Okay. So are you looking for other resources out there to try and serve this population? You
know, one of the questions I am often asked is, what keeps you up at night? And so first I say, for the most part, I sleep pretty well because I know that this is bigger than I can handle. And this is God's ministry. I'm just along for the ride. But the thing that I struggle with the most in my work is having to turn away a young woman who has a child and not know where she's going.
Wow.
And also knowing how young women have to survive on the streets of Chicago if they don't have a place that's safe that they can call home. So yes, we are looking for opportunities to expand, to replicate, and in fact, in December, we broke ground on a new facility that will allow us to double our housing capacity. So we'll have 40 apartments.
Great.
We hope to be able to double our community outreach efforts from the 50 we serve now to 100. We'll have a licensed daycare center on site that the Salvation Army will be operating for us.
That's awesome.
And so we're very excited about that growth opportunity.
Are they there for a term? What is the period of time?
The program that we're operating right now is what's called transitional housing. So the participants who live with us are between the ages of 18 and 24, have up to 2 children, and can stay for up to 24 months. I really would like to be able to continue that program once we move, but the new facility that we're building will be what's called permanent supportive housing. These are all technical terms in the housing system. Permanent supportive housing will not have a defined 24-month time, which is actually good, because if we get someone at 18 and she has a child with some problems or she hasn't finished high school, maybe she needs longer. We still will be working towards the goal of within a couple of years them transitioning to their own independent living, but they'll have their own apartment and a lease with us and can stay longer in the new facility.
I want to talk about the products that are on the table. And then I do want to talk about like the varied services that New Moms offers. And I know that you've already shared some of those with the housing piece and the job search. But talk about these products that are up here. There's a candle, and then I see the purse there, and this Dream Bean Mandarin Grapefruit Soy Candle.
Yes.
Wow, I want to eat this. But I don't think it's edible, but it sure sounds
and it
edible.
smells good too.
Yeah, so tell us about this.
Okay. Well, actually, this is Bright Endeavors. Bright
Okay.
Endeavors is our business. It is a green social enterprise, and what a social enterprise is a business that operates to make money and runs as a business.